Welcome to Women of Vision, podcast number 4. I am Jen Lynn, and with me tonight is the lovely Maurice, and we have Haley, and our special guest this evening is Dana Grant. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Maurice, and she's going to go ahead and start off with questions to Dana.
Hi, Dana. Thanks for being here. I'm so excited. Actually, I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm just I need to be around Dana more.
She's crashing the party is what's happening.
I'm crashing the party today. We just had our detox unload unburden 2017 workshop today at Bernsini Vineyards at 11, and oh man, I loved it. I don't know about you,
It was
Haley.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
I
cried,
was
you guys.
super bummed. I couldn't go.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I was like
The
that
guided
girl.
meditation,
It's like,
and I explained it to my husband what was going through me. I didn't cry there, but I cried to him. But yeah, anyway, it's been a while since I've been touched like that personally, or allowed myself to open up like that. I think it's your energy, and I just want to know so much more about you, how you came to be you, and well, hearing your story too earlier was wow, amazing story. So I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but I mean, feel free to share with us what you want to share.
Like,
Wow, thanks, guys.
Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from California. That's where Cali'flour coaching comes from, and Cali'flour Foods, because I'm a Cali girl. I'm a Northern California girl, north of Sacramento.
yeah, the
That's the real north.
I'm a Northern Cali girl. So, yeah, that's where it came from. But, I didn't just arrive here. It's taken a lifetime to get here. It's a lifetime of experiences, and every live event we have, like today, a new story unfolds that I decide I'm going to share. It just depends on the energy of the room and who I'm with, and I shared different stories last time, but I have had a big life so far, and I'm so glad I can pay it forward.
So, because I didn't actually properly introduce you, why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Well, hey, hi guys.
That might be a good idea.
I'm a master life coach, and my name is Dana Grant. If we're going to back up on that, Dana Grant, the master life coach. I do live events and one-on-one coaching, and I'm big on self-improvement and self-love, and I think I teach a little bit of everything. Boundaries. Yeah.
That one is still mystifying to me.
The
Like boundaries, like how do you set boundaries now?
Yeah, well, I'm 2 years a boundaries coach now. And, and it's every time I step into a new space, I realize there's something more to learn. I think we're all students of the universe. I mean, none of us are masters.
Right. And
We're
everything's always growing and changing.
We're always growing, evolving, changing, and I'm with it. So I like to share my stories on these live events. These live events are just as much fun for me because they're kind of surprising what's unfolding, because I've got a format. I usually go by it, kind of. And but it's so nice to have it interactive, and I'm not just talking at you, that I'm hearing stories too. And it's your stories that I hear in the events that, make me share more of mine. And
So, what is it? I mean, what did you do? Like, did you go to college? What is it that, what
That's what
steps
I was
did
wondering,
you
too.
take to get to where you are today?
That certification.
wow, that's kind of like I said, life. Well, I started out never intending on being a life coach, and but I did start law school. So
Hey.
law was what I was going for. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I took a real left turn and became a lobbyist. It was
Wow.
yeah.
No wonder it was like pulling teeth getting that start out from you.
Oh, yeah.
I get you.
Yeah, and I talked about that today in the event, that I had to retrain myself from just plowing over people, untraining myself to be an active listener and not just wait for people to finish before, because I really had, as a lobbyist, you just want to win. And you
Yes.
really don't care. You don't go into it with love and compassion. And so I just retrained myself completely. But that came at a price. I was a top lobbyist, and that was probably for, I don't know how long, many years, 15, maybe more.
15 years ago. How
No,
long
I
were
was,
you?
I
did it
was,
for
I did it
15.
for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I got really sick. I was getting sick on planes. I was traveling all over the country, ending up in hospitals all over the country. And I took a real sharp right. And I went out on a disability leave. And they said, when you get well, come on back. So I went on a pilgrimage, to get well. I went to London, Paris, Canada, wellness centers, and that was kind of a spiritual journey and awakening that I wasn't ready for. I thought I was going to get well, but
You were going to change your life. Is that what's really happening?
yeah,
No
that's exactly what happened.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
you were just, it had just manifested all the stress and everything that you had going on, had created.
Well, I think, I think I was walking against the grain. My internal guide was who I am is so different from what I was doing, and I was in such conflict, and it played out in my day-to-day life, how I showed up in the world. I was, we talked about that today in the event too. I was a road rager. I was angry. I yelled all the time. It's just a polar 180 from who I am now. So we can, we're trained into doing that. And I teach now people that you can untrain those tapes. You can rewire yourself. You can re-hardwire because we are hardwired.
Oh my God, I'm kind of in awe of you right
Well,
now.
Right?
how did you? What made you be a lobbyist first?
Opportunity.
Okay.
It just came along and I just jumped on the ship, and I didn't have a law degree. Everyone did, and I just loved it. I loved the energy and the travel, and I just, set records that I think are still pretty unbroken. But that just goes to show you the energy behind. I was just,
Yeah, you're putting your whole self into that.
and I put my whole self into everything. So no matter what I did, even being sick, I put my whole self into it. I was in the top 2% of migraneers. I've worked with the best neurologists in the country at UCSF and Mayo Clinic, and
Wow.
Was there like a top something where you identified what made you sick? Was it more mental or emotional?
well, interesting. I'm glad you asked that. There was no big aha moment that I thought was going to happen, but there were a million pieces to the puzzle. I looked at it as a pie, and every single piece fit. And it was a collaboration of all of it. And that's what took me into health coaching.
So what steps did you take? So you traveled all over, you did your own little pilgrimage that kind of brought you to self-actualization.
Right.
And so what did you do after that? What did you have an aha moment after that said, oh, this is what I want to do?
I think I started the self-care, self-love stuff that I wasn't even really aware I was implementing and doing. I started going to retreats. I started going to ongoing education. I wasn't even aware that I was moving in the direction of life coach. I just knew that it was self-improvement, things that were going to make me well, keep me well. And there was no big aha moment for me. It was
another piece of the pie.
It was another piece, yeah. I'd love to give someone an aha moment, but it just wasn't. It was really just a journey, and sometimes I hate to use that word journey. It's so overused, but it really was. It was,
And it still is.
Or
and
the
it's still-
process, like you said earlier today, it's part of the process.
Right. And I started reprogramming how I did things, how I thought about things, how I showed up in the world. I started doing things that I did not take time for. I was a perfectionist, and I started backing off and sitting with it, being okay with things not being perfect, which is really uncomfortable.
I was gonna say, how do you get there? So you go on your pilgrimage, you come back. So did you automatically know you don't want to go back to being a lobbyist?
I just couldn't.
You were just like, I finally feel better. I'm good.
But
don't
I still
want to.
identified with it. So that's where my mind and body were still in conflict.
Okay.
Because I identified and led with, I'm a migraineur. So people, you got to know I'm a migraineur so you don't count on me, or I can't show up. And then I'm a
a
lobbyist,
migraineur?
which
And I'm like,
so
what?
it protected me. So if I'm a lobbyist, no one's going to mess with me. And behind that, I'm a migraineur, so you got to back off. Don't count on me. So I had insulated myself, and I wasn't even aware of that. I had some limited beliefs going on, and some things that I needed to clear the path for. And at the time, I wasn't aware of it.
What's a migraineur?
It's a person that suffers from chronic migraines.
Got it.
So, but we did this I am work today in the class, and I am a migraineur. So I've created my destiny by saying I'm a migraineur. So I re-identified, and I no longer led with, I'm sick. You can't count on me. I'm a lobbyist, which scared people, and they often didn't understand what it was anyway.
Yeah.
But at some level, I can't think that maybe I didn't do that to protect myself, my space. Mm-hmm. So,
Oh,
Kinda
don't get
cushion
me
that
all into
bubble a little bit.
psychology
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Let's leave the personal stuff out, Jen.
Did
Don't
you,
go there.
So yeah, what does that path look like though when you came back and you realized that you wanted to get more into your health and coaching and healthy lifestyle? Like,
Yeah.
what did you do? Like, how does that, I know you said it's a journey,
Right.
which it is, but like, what were those steps? Like, what does that look like? I would imagine you'd be very like you said, conflicted
Right.
because you feel, like you can still connect with what you were doing and have a passion for it because like you said, you put your all into it. So it's hard to disconnect from that completely, but you realize that it's not what's healthy for you. So like, how do you migrate that path? Because I imagine there's a lot of other people that are in very similar positions. You know what I mean? That they're in a
Right.
job that they don't know necessarily how to get out of, but that's definitely not their passion and it's not what they're supposed to be doing.
And everyone's waiting for that magic bullet, that magic answer, that one liner. And it really is putting one foot in front of the other. And I hate those metaphors sometimes because, but
One
it's
day at
so
a time.
true.
Yeah.
It's one day at a time. It's getting up and doing what I love and knowing what I love and writing in a gratitude journal and doing all the things that we see and we think, yeah, that sounds great, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that. Or I'll ask my client, have you had a chance to write in your gratitude journal? Nope, I've been awful busy and I just can't get to that. And I thought, well, that's the stuff that moves you forward. It clears the way. And I started doing things I loved, like gardening. That's where the
Okay.
Soul Gardener came from. Gardening is a huge passion and makes me incredibly happy. So I started doing things that fed my soul, didn't take
Okay.
away. I stopped saying yes when I meant no. That was a big one for me.
Oh, I'm so bad at that.
Yeah, that's a boundary issue. So I realized that, and we all have pasts and we all come from situations that we have no control over. But we do have control over how we show up in the world.
That's so true.
It
That is so
is.
true.
It's
Now,
such-
I keep like coming up with like ding, ding, ding. I need to write some freaking notes. But anyways, so now you changed everything about your life. Now, as a
Yes.
life coach, do you find it that people can still have the job that they have, even though they're unhappy in it, but find happiness in general?
Well, that's
It's kind of a
that's
broad
yeah, it's a
question.
broad and a two-edged sword question.
Yeah.
I think that people can find happiness no matter what they do because I think happiness is a choice.
Yes.
But in that, you have to make a choice to make change, and people are afraid to make change.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're in a job you really dislike, what's stopping you from changing? People say it's a financial or it's my family, or I hear it all. Nope, you're afraid to make the change. It's that simple. I have made radical changes. Radical. I have been through an enormous amount in my life, and I know change is not easy, but it's essential.
So true. And it's so funny how we all get stuck in our ways and we just think, this is it. This is my path. This is my path. And there's no other turns or twists or anything, but that's just it, is that we just keep passing them by without acknowledging them.
Right, we allow
And-
it to be our path.
Yes.
We talked about that
choose-
today
Yeah.
a little bit about fear, and I
yeah.
think a lot of why we stay on that comfortable path and why we
Right.
convince ourselves that this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm doing, this is, like you said, my path, is because it's comfortable.
Right.
And I know that that's one of the biggest things why I don't
Yeah,
do
safety.
things that
Yeah.
because it's comfortable and you know what to expect. And being someone who likes to control things, which I've come to realize that I like, and releasing that and realizing that like literally 90% of life you don't get to control. It's how you react to it.
That's exactly right.
But it's so hard because that conditioning of like even just growing up and what you've experienced, what you've watched growing up, you don't even sometimes realize what you're doing until somebody else points it out and you're like,
Right.
oh yeah.
Well, just
Blinders.
like the story,
Kinda do.
just like the story in the coffee shop. As I was waiting to come onto this podcast, I went and grabbed a coffee, and he was saying, "What's one thing you can tell me about self-love?" He asked me what I did, and I told him, and I said, "I'm my next event." He wanted to know what my next event was, and it's on self-love. And he goes, "What's one thing you can tell me on self-love?" And I sat there and I tapped my finger, and I thought 1, 2, 3, and I kind of listened to my higher self, and it really was expectations. Our unreasonable expectations that we have of everything and everybody, and then we're angry with them because they don't meet our expectations. So if we remove all the expectations, so if I showed up at the event today and you had no expectations, you probably thought, wow, what a great event. But if you set the bar really high for me and you thought, well, I thought you were going to teach this and do this and do that, and I'm so disappointed. It's because you're disappointed because you had expectations that I would be doing things that you expected.
I literally just want to go like,
Yeah.
I'm about to ball over here.
Spirit
so.
fingers up in the air.
It's so true though, because expectations are like,
They're the worst.
they're the killer of dreams.
And didn't you say that he was?
everything and relationships and everything.
Yeah.
You can't expect
And-
anyone to do what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And didn't you say he was like? What did he say?
What did he say?
just
Yeah, after that, he didn't even tell me right away, but he dropped to his knees and when he left, and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, I just broke up with my girlfriend an hour ago, and it was unreasonable expectations." And he goes, "And that you walked in this door, and we just had this conversation, and I just asked you this, and you just said that." And he goes, "Do you have a card?" And I'm like, "Yes." Yes, I do. And you can follow me on Instagram. Nina Soul Gardener. Yeah. Thinking on my feet. I was a little tired when I went in there, so I was surprised that I had the clarity to come up. He wanted one word. And I thought, oh, not a phrase, just one word. And I thought, oh, I like this game a little bit, but
That's pretty.
It's-
Actually, I want to play more.
It's kind of magical, like you
Yeah.
said. Being a lobbyist, that was a conflict within yourself. Probably one of the reasons why you got sick too. But like, it's magical in a way that here you are in Reading, not your hometown, but you walk into this coffee shop and you just get connected with a complete stranger.
Yeah.
But when you're aligned with yourself,
right.
it's
I
just
left and he had
things just
tears in his
happen,
eyes. Yeah.
unfold.
Yeah, he was with another customer when I was walking out the door, and I just put a little peace sign up to say bye. And he stopped and was like, "I can't even tell you what it meant to meet you." And I'm like, "That's so cool that I saw the shift." And that's what I talked about today. That's what moves me when I see people shift. You can feel it. You can feel the
Yeah.
energy when that aha moment happens. Like, oh, I get that. I'm gonna start applying the changes. Like I said today, the seeds are planted. You're in movement already.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their own time. Some people takes longer to germinate those seeds, but it's all perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect timing whenever it happens.
So true. So crazy.
So now, in regards to the expectations, like for our listeners, what would you say would be the first step to lowering them, or not even having them?
Self-love. That was an easy one. I mean, if we're not loving on ourselves and doing self-care and nurturing our own soul, how can we possibly show up in the world and expect anything?
And that's
yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's tough too. Like that's another question in itself. Like what's the first
What's the
step
first
to
step?
I was just
self-love?
gonna say, because some people are so lost and so busy
Yeah.
putting the love that they have elsewhere,
Right.
that
Oh,
they
yeah.
realize that self-love is the
Oh,
answer, but like
absolutely.
how
They've forgotten.
do you even start putting that into place?
And
like,
they can't even take the time to do it because they keep telling me how busy they are with everybody else.
right.
I've worked with a woman now for almost a year, and every week she would come in frantically to her appointment and tell me how busy she was and how everything was falling apart. And I listened, and it was very hard for me not to jump up and down and say, I've got the answer, I've got the answer. I felt like I was in second grade again with my hand going up like, pick me, pick me. But as a coach, I have to be very still and get out of her way. This is her journey. She's got to find the answer. And I can guide her, ask the right questions, and some people are ready to hear it and some people are not. But she just actually texted me from Idaho and had her aha moment and said, how could I have not have seen this sooner? And I just went, I was driving, so I just said to my phone, can you make a smiley face?
Oh my God, I bet
send
you were
hearts?
like stoked though after working with her for, not that again, there's
Yeah.
a set of amount of time to be with someone to have that moment, but like to finally have her
Right.
say like, I get it, I didn't need you to tell me, I finally get it.
Well,
like,
we did a lot of work prior to that. I remove, there's just so much. I go through a process of structure with my one-on-one coaching, and then I use intuitive coaching. So there's certain I do a lot of homework. they've got to bring that back in. And it shows me that they've got some skin in the game, that they're willing to do the work. I'm not going to just sit there
Right.
and talk for an hour while they, so.
You
Yeah.
gotta give me
And
something
you're
to
not
work
there
with.
to
Give me something to work with.
either. You're not there
no.
for therapy. You're there to help them guide
Absolutely.
and figure things
and
out.
if I feel they're stuck for a period of time, I refer them out. And that's what a really good coach does. If they're not making traction or some speed and I don't see some form of movement, I must refer them out.
yeah,
It'd be unethical if I didn't.
yeah.
You said something earlier, being a coach, it's hard to just not, talk and tell you what to do. Like how did you even develop that craft? Because I meet a lot of coaches, and sometimes I get deterred because it's like, oh, you're just telling me what to do, But sometimes nobody wants to hear. I know I don't. I'm so I don't know. Maybe have a lot of ego, but I want to be guided in the process, not be like, oh, this is why you're like that. Da, da, da. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah, and actually, the ego comes up when people start to, and it gets in the way.
And then I become
And people say-
defensive.
Yeah, exactly. Your defensive mechanisms kick in, and you're resistant. And yeah, it's not my job to tell people what to do and how their life should be led.
So that's how your coaching is.
I ask the questions, and I keep digging and digging and digging, and again, I listen to my higher self and my intuition.
And I guess my next question was, how did you develop that craft? Like, did you eventually become like that, or you just had to like, it was a process again, like the journey to get.
Well, I think it is a process to be, I think we've all been in the room with someone where we start to talk and they talk right over you, and they talk very fast, and you start to interject again and they talk right over you. And we all have someone in our life like this. Well, I was that person for a long time. I had a lot of energy, and it was misused energy is the way. I just didn't realize I wasn't listening. And I think my husband must have told me for 20 years, you don't listen. And I was so frustrated. What do you mean I don't listen? But it was quite a while back. He says, you have become an excellent listener. And I thought, wow. So again,
Coming from the man.
it just,
Right,
it
that's a
just,
huge deal.
yeah, it just evolved. And, as a practitioner, he listens. He says 90% of the time, good medicine is listening. And he said, you've got to learn to listen. He said, and this is raising 3 daughters.
Yeah.
He's the only, outside of my poodle, Leon, he's the only man in the house. And having 3 daughters, it's a lot of noise going on. But
God,
well, I'm an empty
I'm the
nester now. It's
opposite.
gotten very quiet at
I was
home.
just gonna say we're the lady in all of us have men in our households.
that's
we're
it.
the one woman.
Even my cats are guys.
Oh yeah, well the hormonal. Yeah, I was going to say. I often wonder. I love I having 3 incredible daughters. I mean, I'm so proud of them and how they show up in the world. And I've marched with one. I mean, they're just happening women. They're just the. I get almost flustered when I talk about them because
Proud mama.
Yeah, I am.
That's so cool.
I love their hearts. I love what they do. I love how they pay it back.
What's a good advice you want to give moms who have daughters? I mean, I don't have daughters, but I have so many friends that just struggles with their teen daughters, and I'm like,
Take Love
thank
and
God
Logic.
I don't have daughters.
I'd say take Love and Logic classes, get some tools. These classes are free.
I've heard about
There's so many tools out there, but I would say if I had to sum that up in a paragraph, boundaries, statement of affirmation, you've got to set those boundaries. They want boundaries, especially girls. And that was a game changer for me. And I did take Love and Logic classes.
Okay.
I really wanted to.
I have a coworker who
Love
took one,
and
and she
Logic.
mentioned it,
It
and I've
flipped.
kind of been like,
it flipped things for me on my last daughter. So, and I can
that makes like the boundaries. It makes total sense. Like with my mom, that's exactly like. All my girlfriends, all of them fought with their mothers, and me and my mom and I were best friends.
Yeah.
And I told her everything.
As my daughters do me.
And
That's how my mom and I were, too.
Yeah, and that's
We're very
like, but
close.
she had boundaries. She said,
Right.
all right, these are the rules.
Yep.
You break them, you're in trouble. And I didn't like getting in trouble.
Yeah.
right,
But that
but we're
might
the
just be my
special ones.
character,
Then,
though.
'cause
You
some
know,
of them don't
'cause I
care
don't-
about getting in trouble.
I'm like, I
I didn't like it either.
mad at me.
I don't want to
Exactly.
disappoint her.
Well, and when you have boundaries, you've got to hold the line. It's tough when we're tired and we just want to give in and say, okay, you're a good kid. Just go ahead and do it. No, hold that line. Hold the line.
Yeah.
That's
you
the hard
have
part.
to.
I have a 1.5-year-old little boy, and it's
Hold the line.
Yeah.
Hold the line.
You're not allowed to play with the TV.
It's true though, because that's tough. Because my sister and I, like Jen, you were talking about how you like learned kind of quick. You didn't like being in trouble. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. That's how I was, and I was the
Nice.
same way. So I was kind of like, spank me once. Okay, I got you. I
Yeah.
know where the boundary is. I know how to not
Right.
make that happen again. Yeah. Well, my sister, on the other hand, was like, oh yeah. Let's do it again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she just didn't have fear about it. She didn't care. And so I think that
Right.
that's really interesting, too, that we have the same boundaries.
Right.
You know what I mean? From the same parent. But she was just this little defiant one that just
Yeah,
didn't
how
care.
different.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, right.
So that's kind of funny, too.
That's why I took the classes on my third daughter. She didn't care. And I was out of my league. The two,
Right. You're like, okay.
oh, they towed the line. Yeah, I didn't have any problems. The third one came and I needed some serious tools.
Okay.
So I held the line, I got the tools, and I applied them. And those saying no and having the boundaries, and then you have to follow up with that statement of affirmation.
No, it's so true.
And that enforceable statement has got to be there.
And
you
they
know?
do so well with, like you said, boundaries, even though
Yeah.
they tend to push against them. Like,
Well, they know the
the
bait and
structure
switch. Yeah,
and
the
everything
minute they
is-
get you, into a debate or you start explaining yourself, game over. They've won. That's where those statements come in. You say it again, the same statement. How's that working for you? How's that working for you? Stop saying, how's that working for me? Well, how is that working for you? Use different inflection in your voice. Never break from the pattern and the routine. And they can't start an argument because you're not explaining yourself. I was a big explainer.
And we don't have to.
Yeah,
Dang it, we're
we
parents.
don't have to. Yeah,
That's my
We say
problem. I was gonna be
no,
like,
and it's a
well.
complete sentence. No is a complete sentence, unless
hate
it's.
that
I
question.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Why? It's like,
Oh, that-
really? Because I'm the
Yeah,
parent.
the minute you start answering why or even acknowledge it, I don't even acknowledge why. My daughter at college asked me for more money today, texted, and I put a little weird, those little emoji faces, like, I'm not even gonna respond to this. I just wired you money yesterday. I saw you at a show in San Francisco last night. I know what went down. You're not getting any money. Stay in the dorms and study this weekend.
Right?
That's,
Okay. Love
But
that.
I didn't say any of it.
Right, you didn't have
My
to.
boundaries are so strong. All I sent was an emoji face, like, really? Yeah. Have a good weekend studying.
Yeah, that's a good one. Today in the workshop, we were all having like this trouble identifying what's a boundary, and somebody said saying no. Was that you, Haley? And
even
we're just
remember,
like,
but
yeah, because
yeah.
women, I don't know, we
Right.
tend to say,
Well, we're
We have-
caretakers,
yeah.
we're pleasers. We want to say yes. We want to take care of everybody. We're nurturing. This is, to some degree or another, we all have that. Like I said, we were hardwired today. We are. We're mothers and we have children and,
We always feel like we're going to
Cats, dogs,
disappoint
yeah.
someone
Yeah.
when we say no.
oh, yeah.
And you know what? That's something that, well, obviously
But think of
we
the
all-
think of the empowerment when you say no and you really feel it and you're like, yeah,
Right.
no.
Sorry, Mom, but I had those
No.
moments with you in the last couple years. I love you. But honestly, like, because,
Yeah.
again, my mom's my best friend.
Yeah.
Like, my sister and her and I are like the three musketeers. So it's been like whatever Mama wants to do in the last however many years. It's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll be there, Mom. I love you.
Yeah.
Let's spend the night. And we still definitely do that, but it is definitely evolved in the last 3 years. And being able
Well,
to say, like,
yeah.
yeah, you know what? Sorry, I got my own deal tonight. I got to make dinner for my little family. And as much as I love you, it ain't going to happen.
Well, and you reinforce it with love, and that's interesting because my oldest daughter and my middle daughter, well, they're all three very busy now. And they're not even coming home for Easter. Everyone's busy. And the old me, everyone would be there. The house would be decorated to the nines, and nobody was going to say, no, I can't be there. They would have flown across country, come home from Australia. But, oh, yeah. Now they say no to me, too. So I taught them to set boundaries with me, too, because I needed those set with me as well.
That's true. That's a good point.
So, children are going to do exactly what we do. We've got good boundaries, they're going to have good boundaries. My boundaries were really messy with my oldest daughter. She's just now learning boundaries, owning a business, and I'm so proud of. I'm really proud of watching her put those into place. And I kind of smile when she says no with me, but I know how hard it is. And then she calls me back like 15 minutes later and says, "I love you, Mom, and we'll do something soon." And I'm like, "Hey, it's all good.
I love
It's all good."
I do that crap with my mom too. Pardon me. At least I didn't
Yeah.
say the other word.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll do that too. I'll call her and I'll be like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be short with you. I feel bad." And she's like,
Exactly.
"Shut up.
Yeah.
Bye. Love you." That was a totally. You had no point in calling me back. And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a good affirmation. Thank you."
So I would love to be very specific on who I need to set boundaries with, but I'm afraid this person might listen to the show. So there's somebody.
That's exactly the person you need to set the boundaries
Yes,
with.
you see what I'm saying.
Oh, I
there.
do, girl. I do.
Yeah. So for, somebody who needs to learn how to say, this is it, what would be a good little tidbit for you to give them, like to really stick to it without hurting people's feelings?
Like
Because
the
that's
steps,
my
yeah.
problem.
Okay, well, this is it. When we set a boundary and we're not used to doing it, we come on very strong. When I first started setting boundaries, it was so overbearing and it was almost, it would not come across well because I was just not used to doing it. So I was like a lot of energy behind it. And I even explained my boundary. Now, I don't do that. So what I do now, you can always have boundaries with love and compassion. I can tell someone no and say, "I can't, nope, can't do it, but I'll see you next Friday. I'm really looking forward to that." Boom. Did it with love and compassion, and I set healthy boundaries. And I didn't bend and breach into my self-care time, which is so important. We jumped over that. That built in, I build in self-care like I do appointments. And I have a busy schedule. But Mondays are my day. I take baths, I have pedicures, I do whatever I want to do. If I want to read for 5 hours, if I want to stare at the window and listen to sad music, I do whatever it is that feeds my soul. Sometimes it's just nice to listen to some, blues and look out at the rain. And
God,
Yeah.
that's such a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah,
It's where our creativity comes from. This is,
Yes.
if we don't stop and people wonder why they're burning out and they can't, the well is dry. You got to fill it up. Self-care is the only way to do it.
yeah. Those are like my two favorite words right now. Is self-care. Like Haley said, we tend to forget. We've taken care of other people for so long, and we tend to forget ourselves. Like, what's your process bringing people to back to that? Like, especially for somebody who hasn't done it in so long.
Well, I look at it like I visualize a circle around myself and I create space. I put space between me and people, and that space grows and gets bigger. But you have to visualize it. You have to see the space. And when you're going to have, because I know if there was someone who was sick or needed something, I was making a meal. I was always doing. I was exhausted. And then I started resenting doing. And it wasn't that I expected anything in return, but my well was so dry. And I just thought, why am I doing this? And you have to ask yourself, what am I getting out of this? Well, maybe I wanted to feel more valued. Maybe I wanted to feel more loved. So I started looking at, what is it? What link am I missing? And I wasn't loving on myself. And that's where I started doing the little chants and looking in the mirror and doing the I love Dana stuff, and it sounds and people are really uncomfortable with this work, but it's essential.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is that, like what you said about why we do the things that we do, like why would we go out of our way to get somebody who's sick some soup or what have you. And that is very uncomfortable to hear that there is a selfish reason to it. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that might really turn people off because
Absolutely.
they don't want to think, oh, no, I'm doing this selflessly.
Right.
But that's so not true. And actually, like, hearing you say that made me uncomfortable. Like, well, I don't
Yeah.
do things for myself. And I'm like, yes, you do. Stop lying to yourself. And because whatever we do is fueled by something to make us feel better about ourselves in some way.
That's exactly right.
And that's, oh my God.
There's your aha
Then you can
moment.
put that
Yeah,
energy
there's
that
an
you're putting
aha
into other
moment.
people into you.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then,
But that's it's so
yeah.
hard to do.
Well, and it just isn't that difficult, and think about what we speak into existence, the law of attraction. I'm really careful with my words. I don't really ever use I can't, I don't, that's never going to happen. I'm very careful saying it will, it can, I'm going to. I leave all those possibilities open. We shut ourselves right down when we think, I can't make time for myself. I've got, like Maurice, I've got 4 sons. My schedule is so busy. I'm so overloaded. I just can't.
But it's so true. And that negative reinforcement, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
like
no.
it automatically, like you said, it kind of stops you from even getting to that other point because you've already told yourself like
Yeah.
that it's
You've
just
al-
not
you've
going
already-
to
yeah,
happen.
you've already
so
set the-
let's move
yeah.
this over here.
Yeah, you've set you've set the day. You've set the agenda. So, and we do set the agenda. Like I said today, we have full control over our life. We have no control over circumstances. But how we show up in the world, we have control over. Whether you take time out and say, you know what, I can't do the basketball or the karate or whatever it is
The
you're
dishes.
the dishes. I would have never gone to bed with the dishes in the sink before. But now if there's a coffee cup in the sink, I don't even see it. My husband actually does it. He doesn't like dishes in the sink. So it's not like I leave them there for him to do them. But the fact that I'm okay with that, I'm okay with things not being perfectly perfect all the time. And it's just it's giving me freedom. And that's what we want. We want happiness, freedom, space. That's what we're all after. And we keep overloading and adding more on and thinking that if we show up and we're perfect and we get it all done, it's going to make us happy.
Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what
so
I
crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to
Yeah.
work every week, delusions of grandeur set in. And then at the end of the week, I'm so mad and pissed off at myself because I didn't make the 500 pieces that I had planned to make. I only got 5 done. That's but that's the thing is that, you guys talking about self-love. I'm one of those very rare lucky people that my self-love is my work, is when I am creating and when I'm making. That is my special time. That is what I want to be doing all the time. And that's even been taken from me. Because I have my little guy with me at work, and his little precious little energy, it's so hard to ignore.
Right.
And be able to self-love on myself. And I to be perfectly honest, I had a complete mental breakdown this week. And to the point where, I don't know if I can take it anymore.
Right.
And
I get it. However, you got to know that, and I'm not a big woohoo with the stars and stuff.
oh, I am.
But we do have retrograde going on, and it started
Mercury.
Started yesterday.
It makes people crazy.
It makes everybody a little bit crazy, and we all wonder why the
forgot
bottom's
about
falling out. And I've
Dana,
got clients
thank you.
coming in crying, and I'm like, oh, I get it. And I pay real close attention to that because it does make a difference.
Yes, it
Yeah.
Because I hear the same thing. The bottom's falling out, and everything is just chaotic, and I've got no control. And I'm like, oh, I got to look this up. Are we
Right,
in
what's the
retrograde?
moon
Oh,
cycle
yeah,
happening?
Yeah.
here we are. It's starting today, and and everybody's right on point.
No, it is.
Runs crazies in
I
full
feel so much
effect.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's why I
It's
went.
true.
I went live yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go on live because I know it's been a tough week for everyone.
You've been feeling the way you've been
Yeah,
feeling.
like
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, what? Usually,
I
I'm
saw
not,
that live and wanted
yeah,
to
I'm
reach
not the
out
type.
and said retrograde. I wanted to say one more.
And then I got cut
retrograde.
off. But yeah, usually I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not. I like to focus on the positive, but sometimes you can't ignore when the negative is happening because there's opportunities to learn there
And,
as well.
Absolutely.
And
You gotta
Maurice, that's
embrace
a
it.
really good point. And I want to talk about that. People think that I'm happy all the time, and that now I do say happiness is a choice, but I really don't ignore the bad days or anything that's going on. I don't give a lot of things, if there's things coming my way, I don't want to give them energy, but I do work through them. I mean, there are sad days. There's days that I'm, the other day when my dog, I was devastated. But
What happened
when
to your doggy?
Oh, yeah. I did a Facebook Live, and I was saying how we have a choice. And my gardener let the dog out. I came home, had a great day, got a speaking gig in London, and my day started off great. I put it out there on Facebook. I go out and celebrate and spend time with my daughter, have a super day, come home. My dog's gone.
Oh my God, I would
So
have lost it.
yeah, we found him on Cody. Yeah, tailspin, exactly. Ebb and flow of life, high, low, and everything in the middle. But so we found him on Cody. My daughter, I was actually so spun out that my daughter went on to Facebook where there's in Chico, Cody Alert, where there was pictures of my dog. And someone said, I found this sweet little boy in the Soul parking lot, and this lovely woman took the time to take my dog to her house, feed him, nurture him. He even cried outside. He's never even been outside. I'm talking a precious little boy. I mean, he wouldn't know what to do if someone locked him outside.
It's like,
So he
lady,
sat-
what are you doing?
He sat there and howled, and she goes, and so she put on the Cody Alert. I can tell this little boy is very loved, and his mother somewhere is going crazy. Yeah, I couldn't even drive and go get him. My daughter did. But, yeah, but I had a choice. I could have been mad at the gardener, and I was angry at him. It took me 2 days to call him and just say, hey, we're going to have to come up with a different plan. I've got a padlock on the gate, but you let my dog out. And I knew he didn't do it intentionally. So I could be grateful
that's the
for
hard part,
Yeah,
yeah.
I could be grateful and stay in that gratitude. Now, this is where the choice comes in. The old me would have been really mad at the gardener. And like I said today in the event, I probably would have gone after and sued him for, pain and suffering, because it was pain and suffering that I went through, and I would have gone for the juggler. But I sat with it for a couple of days, but I immediately, this is where we can re-hardwire ourselves. And and it does happen, because it was no more than an hour after him being home that I was grateful. I was so grateful he was there, and I was just, I was over the top with it. So I could have been, and you can't be grateful and angry at the
No.
same time. It's not possible. You got to make a choice.
It's so hard sometimes, though. Like,
but you
at
got to
least-
make the choice.
I know
So it's
sometimes-
your choice. If if you choose to be angry and call the gardener and fire him, and I'd be losing a great gardener. He's a great guy. Even if it was a bad gardener, it's still a choice. Whether whether I'm going to fire the gardener or not. I knew it was a mistake, and I had to just plug into gratitude. That's when we have to plug into our gratitude journals every day. It's got to be a habit that we build into our daily routine.
So what's this gratitude journal?
Well,
I heard you talk about it earlier.
Yeah, it's something that, I get up really early in the morning, probably around 4:00, and I meditate, and then I write in what I'm grateful for. It's kind of free flowing. I think about things that just, my higher self that just comes in, and things
So it's
that
like free association in a way.
pretty
Okay.
much. And I write down what I'm grateful for. And some of it can be even repetitive, and then I do that. And then that's where I jump off and I go, and I don't pre-plan anything I write, and I do all my own social media. So I don't do at this point, I do. And I think I'm going to really try to continue to do that. I do have an assistant that pops on, and everyone always knows that's not me answering, because there's no hearts, I love just about everything. I'm just like, why would I hit like when I can hit love? Come
Right.
on. I'm gonna hit love. If it's ever a like, it's not me. But, squirrel, I just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? I was talking about gratitude.
Yes, gratitude journal.
Journals, yeah.
I'm all about that
and then
too.
Facebook. So I do the journal, I do the meditation, then I do the journal, and then that sets me up for my day. Then I go, and from the meditation and the gratitude, I choose what I'm going to talk about on Instagram, and I tell a little story, and whatever drops into my head is what I do. It's never pre-posted or pre-thought out or pasted. It just comes right from the heart.
Yeah, I like what you said, that you do your own social media, because a lot of people hire out. But to me, I just feel like you're not in touch with, especially that you're a coach.
Yeah.
You want to be in touch with your audience, especially if some of these audience are going to be potential, not just clients, but friends, like you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look, this is
You want it to be-
we're all here today
manifestation.
because, we connected on social media. We connected on Instagram. I loved your vibe, and I looked at what you were creating, and I'm like, oh, women empowerment. This is women of vision, Reading. This is so cool. Your heart is so big, Maurice. You just opened it and gathered all these women that didn't have a home to come to connect with. And that's
We're
what
still
it's,
working.
Well, the
There's a
fact-
lot
yeah.
of work to be done.
You know, she
but-
can't actually take that compliment. She's
I
having a
know.
really
Yeah,
hard time
saw
with it.
that.
I'm looking,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
give me that
If people
face.
could
You
see
know
right
it's
now,
hard
her
for
eyes
you,
going
Marie.
down. And
I just feel like the work is not done.
Well,
Oh, honey,
yeah,
it's not
done,
about
but
the
never- yeah,
destination.
started
It's
it.
the journey.
Yeah, it's never
We're
gonna
all
be
here
it, girl.
together, girl.
It's never going to be done. You know, we're all students of the universe. It's just we're always going to be evolving and
Yeah.
growing and expanding.
Absolutely.
I hope Women of Vision never stops expanding. I hope that it just becomes. I mean, I see it as you manifesting something really wonderful that may even be global, not even just Reading.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, not to get into the details, but that conversation with myself 5 years from now.
Right. Oh yeah, we did a
Oh my
meditation
gosh.
today. I did
Oh
a
my
guided.
gosh.
Yeah, we should talk about that a little bit when she's talking.
Yes,
that I
yes, I'm
did.
Should we
very
do it, or
interested.
should we just like, no, you're gonna
No,
come
no.
meet Dana, girls. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah,
no.
Well, what
you
she's
gotta
talking
earn your
about is
time.
Samples here so they know
Well,
that they want to go. See
Well,
Dana.
no, it's just that what she's talking about is a guided meditation that I did. I told a story about a dream I had about meeting myself 5 years in the future, and it is now a meditation that I use at my events, and it's
so beautiful.
And
Yeah.
that's what she's getting. So tell me about it, Maurice.
I
Tell
mean,
me all
I don't want to
about
get
it.
into details, like I said, but I allowed myself to get into that space, and yeah, like I disappeared and got into that place, and just the world just disappeared, and I was there,
Right.
and just even the smell, and the crisp of the air,
Yeah.
and the music, the laughter, and then my conversation with myself, and just looping into what you said, that I hope that Women of Vision doesn't, just keeps going. And that was one of the conversation she told me was, you just have to keep going. People are gonna hurt you along the way,
Right.
and they have, but just keep going. It's gonna be so much more worth it than you can possibly imagine.
It's a crusade, girl, and you started it though. So now the
Well,
ball's rolling, and you just gotta, like
yeah.
you said, keep going.
And it was a heart connection. This came from the heart, and that's when things really, take off. We often don't. We wonder why businesses don't take off and things we do don't take off. If it's not from the heart and it's not really our true desire and our soul's connection, there's pieces missing to that puzzle.
So true.
Yeah.
And we think, why is this business not taking off? What am I missing? What am I missing? And I say we have to do the work, but if we're putting in the work and we're doing everything that needs to be done and we're not making and gaining any ground, but I also say don't give up, because you never know what's around that corner. If you in your heart this is your jam.
Yeah, and
Keep
when
the
you
course.
say and when you
Keep the
say
course.
don't give up, I mean that sounds so cliche, but I like what you said too earlier, where it's okay to be sad. I mean,
Yeah.
just on Wednesday too. I mean, I didn't have a complete meltdown, but
I
I
did
just
on
kind of
Wednesday.
like I indulged into my sadness. Like I just
You have
stared
to.
into the rain, and yeah, like you said, I'm gonna look at the rain out the window, and I'm just like, I was foam rolling, and I was probably listening to music and writing in my journal. And that gratitude journal is huge too. I do that.
Well, and if we do not allow ourselves to be sad and we don't work through the emotions,
We can't feel happy.
we can't
It's
feel the
true.
happy, and we're eating our feelings, we're substance abusing. I mean, we're going to find another way to cope,
yeah.
because we are not dealing with what we need to be dealing
It's
with.
so hard sometimes though. Like, well, at least something that I struggle with is that because for the most part I am a very like perky, bubbly person. Like I'm always happy, and then I have days where it's not that I'm not happy, but I'm human.
Absolutely.
And I'm calm, and I'm more inflective. You know what I mean? And people are like, "What's wrong with you?
Right.
Why? What's wrong? Do we need to talk? Is everything okay?" And it's like, then it puts you on defense mode. Like, well,
Right.
what did I do? No,
Right.
wait, no.
Well, it's
I'm
kind of
okay.
like
I just-
like leaving the house without makeup and someone saying, "Oh, are you not well?"
Yeah.
And it's like,
You're like, no,
no, I just
asshole,
came
I'm
from the
fine."
gym, and I'm all. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
That's
I think
funny you
one thing
bring
that's
that
hard
up.
For me,
Yeah.
at least, is because it's like, and you do have to own those moments and those
Yeah.
days and feel them and be
Right.
okay with it. And there doesn't have to be an explanation. I
No.
always want an explanation.
But
I'm
it's
one of those
someone
people
else's
that's like, why?
expectations of expecting you to show up a certain way when we are.
Or I feel like there's got to be
beings,
a
yeah.
reason that I feel that way, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why are you sad today? Well, think about it, Haley. Why are you sad? there's got to be a reason. And it's like, well, no,
No, there doesn't have to be a
It doesn't
reason.
have to be. It's
You know,
okay.
as a coach, I try to be really transparent. And that was when I started getting you're so happy all the time and you're so positive. And I wanted to say, no, I'm not. I won't say it here, but it's like, no, you got it all wrong.
You can.
I spent a lot of downtime. I spent a lot of time alone with my dog. He is totally my jam. He's my hard connection boy. He is. But no, but I love old movies and I write a lot, but I don't socialize quite as much as I used to because I don't want to. And I used
That's
to do
your
it all the
boundary.
time. There's my boundary.
Right.
At Christmas time, I wrote, I'm going to 3 parties. My husband's medical party, my party, and 1 maybe extra. And I thought, that's it. There isn't going to be, I'm not going to drown myself in parties to make people happy. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
boundary. Doesn't mean I don't love you. It means that I'm taking care of myself first. And once you start doing, I'm going to tell you, your cup and the power that rises within you, it's like, I got this,
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you think.
And then, yeah, exactly. I'm still wearing my sock monkey jammies from Christmas. I don't care. I mean, I love those things. They're so
At
comfy.
the end of the day, you're only responsible for your own happiness. And that's it. Nobody
Yeah.
else is.
Nobody else
right.
cares. Nobody cares.
It
about
doesn't
your
matter what
happiness.
anyone else
Well,
cares about because
they can,
you have to care about
they can
you.
drain you dry, and
And they will if you let them.
and they will, and they're going to walk away. And some people, their cups are never going to be filled, and you're going to keep trying and trying and trying, and feeling defeated and frustrated and upset. When if you set a healthy boundary and said, I can't fix them.
I'm going
I
to give
can't
you
fix
Dana's
them.
card instead.
Yeah, well,
And
I
she's
can't.
gonna
Yeah,
help you.
well, I can't. And this is somewhere from a woman and a caretaker. I can't fix clients either, even though sometimes I want to step in and say, "Oh gosh, let me fix you. Let
all
me
they're
fix
saying.
this situation for you." You know what? They have to get their empowerment from fixing it. And sometimes
to
I
that.
guide. It's like left, no, a hard left, more left. So yeah, it's all
true.
good. It's all good. In the end of the day, it's all good. It's the way it's supposed to be.
Amen to that. My word today at the end, or the first piece of paper that we wrote on.
Yeah.
Forgot what we wrote, and then we were supposed to flip it over and write a word to
A promise
know.
to yourself.
Yeah. Mine was
Yeah.
let go.
Oh, nice.
let
So
go.
something that you could do right now for your future self was to let go. Oh, nice.
Just blah. Let it go. It's
Yeah.
none of it's that important. You know what I mean?
Well, my favorite line is trust the process. People get really tired of me saying that, and I'm like, but you really do need to trust the process. And if you don't understand what that means, now that I will explain, But it's really just trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting your gut. How many times do we know the answer, but we don't listen to our body, we don't listen to our gut, and we think, oh, well, it's kind of like that funny joke that your friend, my daughter sent me this little joke that said, it was a little cartoon that said, I asked my friend if I should call the boy or text it. Everyone said no, and then I went ahead and texted him 4 times. Yeah. It's a gut thing. You know you shouldn't do it, but you do it anyway, and then you get a bad response or you get no response, and you're wondering why you feel so bad, and you're boo-hooing, and you're like, but you knew better, but you got to make your own mistakes.
Shoot,
It's what makes
you're
us
so
so- yeah.
right.
Well, it makes us all unique, and and it's our empowerment. That's where empowerment comes from. Our story. We all have these incredible stories.
Jen is so quiet. Isn't it cool, like listening to her? It's
I'm
cool, right?
really upset that I couldn't come today. You have no idea. If I could have found somebody to watch the shop with my kid, I could have gone, but I couldn't.
It's okay. You have to
okay.
forgive
We're
yourself.
doing-
Now
Yeah.
we're friends,
But-
so we'll
Yeah,
be doing
and,
this
Yes.
hanging out thing again.
Absolutely.
It's
Come to-
perfect
we'll come to
timing.
you next too, but
Yeah. Is it perfect timing having her around? Like just
Yes.
all this
It is.
weird
Yes.
stuff
Thursday.
going
Come to
on last 2
Chico.
weeks.
yes, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
We'll
We'll go to her.
go to her, yeah.
Absolutely. Although this room, I mean, if I could describe the little jackalope on the wall and
Jackalop's my favorite.
this little man cave we're in, and these these are beautiful mics. I mean, this is a beautiful room. Really, it is. It's all cozy and
Right?
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh man, we're
All
at
right,
the top
Dana.
of the hour already. It
I
went
know,
by fast, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
we're
Chatting out
at-
like that?
Yeah,
Yep.
we're almost
Oh,
there,
this
babe.
could keep
All right,
on
so
keeping
before
on.
I think we need a part 2.
Yes, I think so too.
You need to come
Yes.
back.
So where can everybody find you, Dana? Where can everybody check out what it is where they can get some deliciousness of Dana? Because
these
everything that
positive
you're,
vibes.
oh my God.
Positive vibes. Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram at Dana. Is it Dana Soul Gardener?
Yep.
Yep.
It's Dana Soul Gardener on Instagram. I changed that up this year. And you can find me on Facebook at Cali'flour Coaching. And you can find me as Dana Grant on Facebook. I'd love to connect with you all. And you can check me out at calisoulcoaching.com. And that's my website. And there's all kinds of good juju there too.
Yeah, we didn't even get into like Cali'flour Foods. Like
Oh.
you're just
That's-
so
that's-
Yeah.
multifaceted. Like you're.
That'll
that
be
was
our
so
take
rad.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it's interesting that was round 2 for me.
Oh,
That was a big round
It'll be
2.
perfect then.
Yeah, when you guys asked me, and I kind of avoided what brought me into what I'm doing now, and I kind of put things on hold and went for that, and of course that's done incredibly well, and I'm so proud of it. But that's actually what landed me and launched me. I shouldn't say landed, launched me to what I was going to do next.
Now
We
you were
always try
talking.
new things.
Interesting.
You were talking about the class you have coming up now. Is that already closed to the public or is it open to the public?
It will be open for registration probably in about 2 weeks, and that will be a coach and cook class. So I'll be coaching and cooking and doing a new recipe, and there'll be recipe cards, and it's a great class. It's a fun class. It does sell out very quickly.
No, this is in Chico. Okay.
And so I don't know what market's going to sponsor it yet. I haven't chosen one. There's a couple.
It's a cooking class.
It's a
for
cooking and
Cali.
coaching. Hey.
Well, if you've looked at Cali Soul Coaching page, I've got Soul Grub, Soul Speaks, my podcast, Soul Seeds, which is my stories and soul stories, but it's a little bit of everything. It's that trilogy of health, of healthy body, mind, and soul. So, yep, Soul Grub is going to be a cookbook. It's been put on hold a
that's
little
right.
bit because of Cauliflower Foods, and my launch just was pulled back, but that will launch this year. I'll have a
Oh, that's exciting.
cookbook out there with all kinds of soul seeds in it, so soulful stuff, and it's all my recipes. And actually, Upgraded Living, which is a local magazine to the North State, and I actually was on the front cover of Parent Magazine. Isn't Parent Magazine from Chico?
I don't know where to find.
It's Chico or Reading, but
I know it's North
local.
State. Yeah.
North State. I think the North State. But I have a lot of recipes that will come out, and I will be in their entrepreneurship magazine. I'm not sure what they call it. It was I was on the front cover as the entreprenista of the year. So that was
that's cool.
last year. So yeah, but now they pick up a lot of recipes that I do. So I'm constantly creating. But that's what keeps me, it's my passion. I love to create, love to cook, love to develop new recipes that are healthy. I love veggies.
So if I could
I know
find
veggies.
you a kitchen for you to cook in, would you be open, like an actual commercial kitchen? I already have one in mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Would you be willing
Yeah.
to do the?
You do a commercial
Up here?
kitchen, and absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's do it, girls.
Yes, let's plan that.
I love
Yeah.
veggies too.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we have farmers
Yeah.
in the group.
Yeah.
We call them farmers.
Oh, yeah. Well, farm hers. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So what did I do last time? I think I stuffed pumpkins, and I made, I did veggie stuffed pumpkins for the last Coach and Cook was in December or November. And it was so fun with pomegranate seeds and veggies, and then I baked them, and then it was, spectacular. And then I did a coconut milk pumpkin souffle.
Oh my.
I'm just hungry now.
So yeah. So I'm making dinner. Don't think you're getting snackies when you come. We're eating. We're having
We're
dinner.
eating.
We're having a proper
yeah.
meal.
Oh yeah. I'll be tossing those zoodles and
Fun.
Amazing.
I
All
love
right,
food
you guys,
too.
let's start wrapping it up. Okay,
Yeah.
so Maurice, tell everybody where they can find info on Women of Vision Reading.
That's it. womenofvisionreading.com. All the information is there. Yeah. It
been a long day.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
If you want to check out the vibe, I always recommend to come to an event, shake people's hands, and meet us and see if we're a fit for you, if our vibe is for you. It's not for everyone. everybody has their different tribes, and so I don't twist people's arms.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
and come
April-
check it out.
yeah.
for
But if you're
sure,
interested in what
because-
we are, then just come on to an event, and it's good times, you guys. I mean, even if you're not vibing with anybody, just leave. We won't be mad at you, honestly.
You don't have to be a business owner, you
No.
guys.
Yeah.
That's another
And
thing.
it's-
I think some women are, haven't come out because they don't have a business
Yeah.
or don't have
yeah.
a vision, and that's okay.
And there's so
It's
many
not about
women
that.
at
It's
home
not.
that have these
Yeah.
ideas that are germinating or they're inside and they're I don't want to say housewives, but they stay at home with their children or they just stay home and this is where you cultivate ideas. When women come together, it's powerful stuff.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And
Yeah.
they can transform and start, feeding those dreams and there's where it goes.
I love that your
hanging
rock
out
was
with women
successful.
empowerment. What's it?
Her rock was
I
successful.
know, yeah.
Oh, what- oh, yeah.
Today was
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
told you that last week.
And it was yellow,
Remember?
you guys, and
I
yellow
was
is
like,
my favorite
you're gonna
color.
be successful,
that's
Haley.
like your.
I-
Oh my
All
gosh,
right, now
triple.
speaking of Haley and her success, you have to do a shout out for Purple for Kai.
I will. I'm the owner of Agency Quality Goods, and we make soy wax candles. And recently, my current endeavor that I've been working on is I partnered with a local little girl named Kaya, who's 13, and she has epilepsy. And we're trying to spread awareness. And so we created a candle together. And it's Ocean Breeze scent, and Kaya picked the scent, and
And it's
purple is the
delicious.
epilepsy color, and March is Epilepsy Awareness Month. So, we partnered together and made this really amazing candle for her, and 100% of the proceeds are going to go to her medical bills and her service dog, Keto. And she's just absolutely inspiring.
Now, where can people get these candles? There's 3 locations around town, right?
Yes, Jen's Jewels.
Yes, that's
your
right.
shop. The beautiful. Go get your jewelry and your candles.
Yes.
And then also down in Red Bluff at Johnson Realty, which is on Main Street, and then also at Oregon Street Antique Mall over by Woody's. We'll have them there as well. But message me. I don't have a website yet, but we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram.
Oh,
Agency
girl,
Quality
you need
Goods.
to be in the local news on that. I mean, this is especially with the month coming up. I mean, just give
She's
them a
been in
shout out.
Enjoy. She's been in the Enjoy magazine.
Oh,
We've been
good,
doing some
good.
interviewing, and we did produce a little commercial that hopefully will be coming out soon. So, anyways, Monday the 26th is Purple for Kaya Day. So this is not going to come out in time for anyone to get that.
No,
but
unfortunately.
just know next year when you get there, March 26th is her day, and she created all this, and she's really awesome. So go check her stuff out, Purple for Kaya, and
Yeah.
show some support. Send me a
love that.
message. I'll hand deliver your candles. I love doing that.
I
so.
buy a
As
candle.
long as you're in Reading.
I buy the purple candle.
All right, you guys. And then I'm Jen Lynn with Jen's Jewels. Check me out every Friday night. I go live on Facebook around anywhere in between, let's say, like the 4-ish time to the 6-ish time. If you miss it when I'm actually live, you can watch the video later. And what's awesome is I actually go on, I talk about what I made that week, how it inspired me, and all the different elements and what the stones mean and all of that fun stuff. And I do everything I possibly can to load everything up so you can purchase it right after you get done watching. So that's Jen's Jewels Reading on Facebook. And you know what, Dana, you have been absolutely amazing to interview. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm looking forward to take 2.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, can we go hang out
I just
more,
love
guys?
you
I
guys.
know.
Yeah. No,
We'll
it's
go.
been
We'll
good
go
vibes.
visit her.
All
We'll
good
visit her.
vibes.
Yeah,
For sure.
It's all good. Yeah, I know. You guys just adore you guys. you're just all good juju.
All right, anything you want to say for signing off?
I don't think so. If they could see me, I'd be having my peace sign
just
up.
gonna
All right, there you go.
I've
Peace
always
signs,
got
you
my
guys.
peace signs.
That's
We're
it.
all waving our peace. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just knock
There
that
it is.
out. Yeah. There it is.
All right, good night. You guys
Love you all.
We'll check you
Have
next
a
month.
good
Take care.
Friday.